Hi everyone, so today we are talking all about Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala Harris is someone who really commands this authoritative presence, and she's only 5'4", and she also has some soft features to her. So I thought it would be interesting to discuss how she puts together this authoritative look and the style elements that go into her look. Now, you may ask yourselves, well, Miriam, why aren't you discussing the men in politics? Why are you discussing what Kamala is wearing, how she puts together her style? Okay, the truth is we need to discuss the men in politics, and we need to discuss why they look the way that they do. But unfortunately, that would be hours and hours worth of video of discussion about what needs to be done here, because as you can see, there is a lot to cover. So today we are talking about Kamala. And so Kamala is someone who is petite. She is 5'4". She also has a little bit of width to her shoulders, giving her a little bit of strength to her silhouette. And she also has some curves to her, some softness. And the challenge with this is that when you are petite and when you have curves and you're smaller in stature, you can have some people tell me that they have a difficult time having an authoritative presence at work. Now, Kamala is someone who has figured out how to do this authoritative presence by combining these classic pantsuits, but at the same time incorporating some brighter colors or some softness to her hair to kind of take the edge off of those pantsuits a little bit and to give her that air of potentially approachability to kind of balance the authoritative nature of the pantsuits. So of course there are all kinds of silhouettes out there. There are some people who are very tall and lean like Tilda Swinton. They have very long lines to their silhouette. And there are some people who are short and curvy like Salma Hayek, and they have short and rounded lines to their silhouette. And likewise, we have people who are warm toned in terms of their skin and their coloration, and then we have people who are cool toned. So Kamala Harris is someone who is warm toned when it comes to her coloration. So she looks wonderful in these golden yellows. She looks wonderful in warm greens and warm reds, and she's also going to look excellent in warm purples and navy blues and royal blues. Colors like that really accentuate her high contrast and her warmth. And so Kamala is also someone who is, like I said before, she has a little bit of width to her shoulders. She has some more relaxed lines to her, and at the same time, she has some softness and some curves. And so she would really be most at home in a soft and relaxed fit. And the thing is with a soft and relaxed fit is that is not often consistent with having an authoritative presence. Usually an authoritative presence is associated with pantsuits, things that are a bit more stiff and tailored. And this is something that I see a lot. And, I work with clients to help them figure out their best lines, their best colors and things like that. And sometimes they tell me that they really struggle with more of a professional look when they are flattered by these relaxed lines. And I want to show how Kamala does this sort of authoritative professional look in a really excellent way. Now, this navy pantsuit is a great example of doing something that sort of commands this authoritative presence, but at the same time does respect some of her softer features. So first of all, the navy tends to look a little bit less harsh against her warm skin tone than, let's say, a pure black does. So the navy is an excellent option. And the jewelry and her hair sort of soften the look. The navy also, the psychology of navy is more about formality, more about commanding authority. So navy is such a good choice if you are a warm and high contrast person like Kamala. So oftentimes though, sometimes when someone with her coloration and her silhouette and her features wears things that are overly tailored and dark colors and dark neutrals, it can look a bit too heavy and just too unapproachable to a point where the person looks like they don't know really what they're doing sometimes. It can be that extreme. And I would say this is one such example where she looks overly stiff to a point where it doesn't look intentional. And yes, when you are trying to look authoritative, it's good to have a little bit of stiffness to the silhouette. But in her case, I would say sometimes she goes a little bit too far. With the high neckline in her case and the tailoring to the suit, it's just a little bit too far. And here as well, the black is just too harsh on her. Even though she does have that high contrast to her, she has the dark hair and the deeper features, and she has medium depth skin, still black is too harsh on her. And the dark neutral lip color particularly really drags her down and really just looks overly harsh and overly heavy. The image that she would probably like to portray maybe more in line with energetic and authoritative, not necessarily dragged down and stuffy and authoritative. And I think this leans more toward dragged down and not so much toward energetic and authoritative. Now, this is something that I often see is sometimes people can take it too far when it comes to trying to look authoritative and trying to give that sort of air of that commanding presence. And oftentimes if you go too far, you actually look like you may not know what you're doing. And this happens often in politics. For example, Hillary Clinton did the exact same thing. Hillary Clinton has relatively soft features, and she is really not someone who can pull off something like this. She has moderate scales to her, so she doesn't have a very large stature or very substantial bone structure. So when she wears these larger scale detailings, like the large lapels on this blazer, it just looks a little bit too, it looks too much, it looks too large on her, and it makes her look smaller as a contrast. It looks harsh on her, and it looks too harsh to a point where it looks like she doesn't know what she's doing, and it looks aging on her. It doesn't look energetic, authoritative, in command, knowing what you're doing. It really does not give that look. And so Hillary Clinton is someone who would benefit from a bit more softness, and that's something that throughout her campaign, she really appeared very harsh in a lot of the content associated with that campaign. Now, Hillary Clinton would have really benefited from doing something more like this more often. Now, this is, of course, a very sort of soft version, a very soft example. It is a little bit too soft, but it still illustrates some of the elements that she could have incorporated. So maybe some lighter colors, especially with Hillary's coloration. She looks like very light, very soft in coloration. And so this light color blazer looks really nice on her, and it's just very pleasant to look at. And at the same time, it's still a blazer. And so something in between, like what she has here and the harsher look that I showed you, would have been nice. Or maybe incorporating more of these soft looks throughout her campaign would have given her more of an air of approachability. And at the same time, when you look at Kamala Harris, and when she wears these light and soft colors, they just wash her out because she doesn't have Hillary Clinton's coloration. She has more of a high contrast coloration. So the way that she is going to look more fresh and vibrant and authoritative at the same time is through bright colors, not through these kind of washed out neutrals. That is not her thing. Kamala is really washed out by all of these neutrals. It really drags her down. It makes her look tired and not really like she is in command or authoritative at all. Someone who has even softer features than Kamala Harris is Aesio Cortez. Now, Aesio Cortez is someone who has very soft lines to her bone structure as well, and she has those full features. So when she wears a red lip and even some sparkles on her eyes, that doesn't look too over the top, and in this case it's balanced by the slicked back bun, which still gives her a sense of authority. Now, I would still recommend something like this without the sparkles, just because the connotation with sparkles can sometimes be not as authoritative. Here she is doing these soft curls which just look very polished on her, and she's doing the red lip, which red lips can sometimes look romantic and flirty, or they can look authoritative and like sort of like a CEO kind of look. And in her case, because she's pairing a red lip with this black blazer, ensemble, she looks more authoritative with this, and at the same time she's honoring her softer features by having that softness to her hair and the brighter red lip. So I think this just looks perfect on her, and this is a great way for anyone who has softer features to achieve more of an authoritative look while still looking like you are in your own skin and not dressing up like someone else. And this is often something that I see anyone from people in the street trying to look professional, all the way up to people who, maybe just going to be president, trying to look professional. And sometimes it can happen that when you wear something that is not your own, that doesn't complement your silhouette, it looks like you're trying to dress like someone else. So this is the image from the thumbnail. This is Ariana Grande from one of her music videos dressing up like the president. And it's so interesting because she looks like she is dressing up. It doesn't look like it's really for her because those details are just too large. The earrings are too large. Her hair is just too much. Her outfit is too much for her small frame, and so that makes her look smaller as a contrast. So it gives this effect of you're sort of trying to dress up like an adult or dress up like someone authoritative. And I know that a lot of my petite clients have told me that they struggle with this, and some of my petite friends as well have told me that they struggle with this because they find that they want to dress a certain way for an interview to present a really professional and polished and authoritative image that commands respect, and then when they wear these like a blazer or a pantsuit, they just look like maybe they're playing dress up somehow. And this is something that they tell me. And this is because when you are petite and small, you want to dress in accordance to your silhouette and your smaller scale. So you want for the lapels to be smaller, you want for everything to be precision fitted and small, and for everything to be a little bit cropped just to fit your bone structure so that you don't look small as a contrast to your clothing. And Ariana Grande looks small as a contrast to her clothing, and that's why she looks just a little bit like she's playing dress up rather than someone who is really very, very serious and authoritative like Kamala Harris looks. Kamala Harris looks serious and authoritative because she is dressing to her scale. She's not dressing in clothing or detailing that's too large for her. So now let's turn our attention to Kamala's jacket that was bespoke made for her. Now I really love the color for this. It's an excellent color for her. It's that vibrant jewel tone, and it's going to really match with her bright coloration. And I love the fit of it as well. I really like the waist definition. It looks really flattering on her. But at the same time, I would change one thing, and that one thing is the length. And this is the thing with the length, is that it's just a little bit too long. And if she just had one more opinion from one more stylist, I'm sure someone would have told her, look, this jacket is a little bit too long on you. And if you're trying to convey authority, you don't want to look small relative to your clothing. You want to look in proportion to your clothing. And so this jacket being too long on her can sort of accentuate her smallness and her petiteness, and that's not usually in line with conveying authority. And so this is the thing, is that this often happens where it's something that's like, it's someone's almost there. This jacket is almost perfect, but just that one thing is what I would change. I would just make it just a bit shorter, maybe even having it hit just below the knee would be good enough. It doesn't have to be a short jacket, but just a bit shorter would be perfectly in line with her proportions. So let's put all of this together. Let's put all of Kamala Harris's style recommendations together in her image recommendations. So I really enjoy seeing her in some tailored pantsuits. That looks very authoritative on her. And I also like the brighter colors, which give this energetic effect, and it also matches her coloration, that high contrast, bright coloration that she has. She has some softer features, so adding in some more delicate jewelry, that can sort of soften her look a little bit and make her look approachable, but not in a way that takes away from that authoritative edge. And of course, her makeup is best if it is usually in neutral tones, just for that authoritative feel, but softened by having maybe a lighter neutral lip and some natural or dewy finish, really avoiding a heavy lip or a heavy matte finish to her makeup. So something natural and dewy is great for her makeup. So that's how she is going to achieve her authoritative look. So that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment and let me know, how is it that you have achieved an authoritative look? Have you enjoyed achieving an authoritative look? Do you have a petite bone structure or curves, and how do you achieve that kind of look, and what are some looks that made you feel your most authoritative? Now, if you're interested in working with me, this video is, it was a small subsection of the kinds of things that I do. It was for a very specific case of someone who is petite and curvy and wants to look authoritative, but of course, there are all kinds of different looks, all kinds of different people, and the way that they achieve those looks are all going to be different. And so I do all kinds of consulting. And so you can take a look at the service that I offer in the link below. And I offer typing for both men and women. I offer services for men and women. So if you are a man or a woman, you are welcome to book. So that is it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you next time. Okay, bye.